Welcome back. We already talked about the excitement of the NBA offseason. Let's get into the NHL offseason. The Penguins have a few things that they need to get in order to get below the salary cap going into the season. So, Josh Yohe, we'll start with this question. If there's a move or two that need to be made in order to get under that number for the salary cap, what are you thinking? What makes the most sense right now?
Well, there is one that needs to be made. If the Penguins can trade Jack Johnson, I believe they will. That is easier said than done, however. As we all know, Jack has 4 years left on his contract. It's not a very good contract. He didn't have a great season. I don't think he had as bad of a season as some will make it out on social media in particular, where Jack has many detractors. However, I think it makes the most sense to move him. They have Juuso Riikola, who can slide into the top 6 on the blue line. I think he would be fine. They love Marcus Pettersson. Slide him up into the top 4 alongside Justin Schultz. The blue line would be in pretty good shape. And that way, you don't have to trade Nick Bjugstad. You don't have to trade Brian Rust. There has been some talk about one of those two guys going. That could happen. Especially in the case of Rust, I would be careful. He's been a very valuable contributor for the Penguins for a while. He's still only 27 years old. He doesn't make that much money. He's not the kind of guy you want to lose. Johnson would be best case scenario for them. The question is, can Jim Rutherford find a way to pull it off?
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's the thing, though. I mean, Bjugstad and Rust do offer more upside on their contracts and in their age than Jack Johnson does. I mean, what about, if we're spitballing here, I mean, we just talked about a guy with concussion issues. What about Patrick Hornquist? That contract isn't great either, and his age isn't great either, but he still he could be productive. I know he's important to this team. I know in a team that needs a net front guy, he is the quintessential net front guy. But, I mean, if you're looking to save some money, you could find somebody a little bit cheaper to do that job, if you had to make a move.
Well, and that's the thing, Josh, it's just sort of like trying to find somebody to take Cervelli's contract. If you find a general manager willing to take Jack Johnson's contract off your hands, God bless you. And, that general manager probably is not going to be a general manager very long. That's the kind of contract that, unless you have 2 Stanley Cups under your wing already, you might get fired for signing that kind of contract. And so, no, I don't know. I think it's either him or Hornquist are the 2 contracts you could probably unload to try and free some things up. I just don't know if anyone's going to be dumb enough to trade for him. No,
it's conceivable. And the Hornquist thing, he has a clause in his contract. It's not a full no-trade clause, but it's not easy to deal him either. And everyone I've spoken with, there's kind of a sense with him, they want to give him one more season to kind of show that the last 3 months was an aberration. But boy, 5 concussions in 5 years, that doesn't lie. That's certainly a scary thing with him moving forward. Jim Rutherford set the bar very high once upon a time when he managed to trade Rob Scuderi for Trevor Daley. How he did that to this day, I will never know. So when you think about that, you always think, maybe you can get rid of Jack Johnson for a 6th-round draft pick somewhere. It's possible, but you might have to throw a Tristan Jarry in there or another piece just to get rid of Jack's contract. But if they can do that, their forward unit looks pretty darn good even without Phil Kessel right now. I don't think they want to touch that if they can help it.
So you're saying you'd have to throw like Reese McGuire into the trade in order to get the other team to take
something along those lines.
Right? Another team does those kind of deals.
That's right.
Well, in the meantime, of course, they have some other things to figure out, including Zach Aston Reese's salary arbitration hearing as well, as they try to get themselves under the cap. We will take a break when we come back. 18-game NFL schedule with a 16-game max for players. How does that work? We'll talk about it when we come back. Stick around.